Hey guys, welcome to the Know. I'm Ashley.
Oh, it's me?
Yeah, it's
I was supposed to be John, but he sucks.
You're
so
prettier.
I'm Ryan
You're
instead.
a lot prettier.
Oh,
And I'm Gus.
And it's kind of the end of the year. Everyone's been coming out with all of their best of lists, and there's no doubt that this year we saw some really amazing games, from Uncharted 4 to Overwatch to Titanfall 2.
But this video isn't about any of those games. This is
Nope.
about the stinkers, and this list is about the worst, the crappiest, the shittiest, oh that's sad, the shittiest games of 2016. Officially we're calling this list the biggest flops of 2016, which could mean critical flops, commercial flops, giant steaming combination of the two.
But the important part is
already
the
listed
steaming.
as a flop. That's a.
Well,
it was listed as the not
it
part
was
of the
great.
flops.
It was
Critically
It was
great.
great. It was tremendous. It didn't sell crap.
Look, some of the games flopped because fans hated them. Some of them, like Titanfall 2, well, actually, no, critics liked Titanfall 2, but no one bought it.
I did.
I did too.
Two.
All right.
Hey, well, let's
Well,
check
three
out
out of
the
three,
list. What do we
three
got?
out of three on this couch, but other people didn't buy it. However, there are other games that weren't Titanfall 2 that also had kind of a rough year.
Here's the list.
So we're gonna start off with Battleborn. Now we know Battleborn has its defenders, and that's fine, but there's no
It
denying
had
this.
like a defender.
This first-person MOBA shooter
was a
was
fine
a
game.
flop. Yes, Battleborn was a cool concept with a variety of colorful characters and team-based gameplay.
There's only one problem with that. Another game this year did all of those things, but way better. Battleborn was completely overshadowed by Overwatch, which released a few weeks later, and then Battleborn never recovered. The thing is, they're not even quite the same genre. They're different
No,
games.
totally different.
But between the sort of cartoony stylized graphical style and the fact that they released so closely together, Battleborn just never really had a chance, and you can find it severely marked down after a few months, which is the sure sign of a flop. I'm pretty sure it's on sale for like $4.
It had a good personality.
If it had released
And
last
fun.
year or had time to build its base far enough away from Overwatch, it would have been fine.
Quantum Break. This was supposed to be a big-time exclusive for the Xbox One, a groundbreaking game that would blur the line between scripted television and video games and create a new type of immersive gameplay. But, well, maybe it was, but nobody played it. The game sold only 146,000 physical copies in the US in its first week and quickly kind of fizzled out from there. Sorry, Sean Ashmore.
I played the game, I finished the game. I thought it was fine. The gunplay was terrible.
The
It was not
gunplay
good.
was awful.
It was almost unshootable.
I mean, you could see where a sequel would have benefited it, basically, but I don't think it'll happen.
Also, I dreaded any time I knew there was a 22-minute live action scene coming up. I'd be like, I don't want to spend another 22 minutes sitting here. Like, I'm just going to stop playing right now. I'll come back to this later.
Yeah, you did kind of have to book the time in if you were going to sit down and play. Like, oh god, well, here we go.
And of course, next on the list is Ghostbusters. However you felt about the remake of Ghostbusters, everyone was united in their belief that the accompanying game was a piece of shit. For one, you didn't even get to play as the characters in the movie.
Nope.
The ones in the game are completely different. And for two, this game was a boring, unfunny mess. It scored a 32 on Metacritic from critics, while its user score was an infinitesimal 0.6. I didn't know Metacritic went that low.
And speaking of licenses, TMNT Mutants in Manhattan. This game had so much promise. It was made by Platinum Games, the same team that made Transformers Devastation, which was fun, Bayonetta 2, which was fucking awesome, and the trailer for TMNT Mutants in Manhattan looked like a cool artsy take on the Turtles, but then what we got was a repetitive co-op brawler whose 3-hour campaign left an awful lot of players feeling very ripped off, with good reason.
I'm okay with short campaigns, but 3 hours is too short.
That's a bit insultingly short. The co-op was okay. Though it had sort of like a weird free roam area, but it was very small. It felt like you were sort of in a turtle cage.
And then, of course, next on the list is Homefront The Revolution. This was the second installment in a once promising FPS franchise. America is occupied by North Korea, and you have to fight back. But the bad story, tedious gameplay, and an overall lack of polish made it extremely underwhelming. The game sports some cool atmospherics and a unique weapon crafting system, but ultimately Homefront The Revolution couldn't pull it all together. I played the first game and was so disappointed I did not play the sequel. They could not drag me back in.
Well, another notable whoops this year was Umbrella Corps. Did you actually know that was a Resident Evil game?
I didn't know this was a game. I missed it, I guess.
Everyone else did too. Capcom hopes that you've already forgotten about it, to be
Well,
honest.
mission accomplished.
Yes, all of our minds have been wiped. The company released this so quietly that it barely made a ripple. Plus, they even removed the Resident Evil from the game's title. The game was like one of those movies that directors publicly disavow because they're so terrible.
They're right. They don't even wait until it's out. By the time they're on the press tour to promote it, they're like, yeah, this is
I hated
a piece of
every
shit.
minute of that. I shouldn't have been involved. I didn't ever leave my trailer. Umbrella Corps featured an especially shitty blend of clunky mechanics, confusing multiplayer, and an enemy AI that sometimes didn't even realize when you were nearby. All of this left some people calling this the worst Resident Evil game ever made.
Next on the list is Dino Dini's KickOff Revival. This was an attempt, just an attempt, to bring back a 30-year-old soccer franchise, or football for the Europeans, or, well, actually, rest of the world entirely, I guess, that was beloved back in the day, and it should have probably stayed in the past where we loved it, because this version was knocked by pretty much everyone for feeling sloppy and unfinished, and worst of all, critics said it wasn't even as playable as its ancestor. You know, the one that came out 30 years ago, which is never a good sign. One I think we can all agree absolutely belongs on this list, though, Mighty Number 9.
You were the chosen one.
This is the game. It made us never want to crowdfund anything ever again. In the days of the future, they will look back on this game as the game that killed crowdfunding. Despite the pedigree of being created by Mega Man auteur Keiji Inafune, this game was plagued by years of delays, and then when it finally came out, we got a really, really boring Mega Man knockoff. It felt like a knockoff in every way.
Well, it looked like a knockoff from the crowdfunding.
It was
from the very
homage.
beginning.
Come on.
At the beginning, it looked like an homage. When it finally came out, it looked like a knockoff.
Star Fox Zero.
Oh boy.
Everyone has fond memories of Star Fox, but Star Fox Zero taught us that maybe those memories should stay in the past. This came out for the Wii U, so it was already behind the 8-ball, but its control system that required players to follow 2 different screens wasn't well received. Add in a complete lack of content, and you have a flop.
Both commercially and critically.
Dual barrel roll.
No.
That's from that game, right?
Oh!
I don't know.
I
I'm double checking.
I refuse to barrel roll for this game.
Dual barrel roll, Fox.
I will barrel roll for a lot of things, but not this one.
Well, there we also have Street Fighter V scraping the bottom of the barrel. This was supposed to be a huge exclusive for the PlayStation 4, getting the 5th installment of a legendary fighting franchise, but the released version was incredibly buggy and light on content. There was no single-player mode, and many fans simply weren't able to play online because of software issues. Overall, the game felt like it was shipped kind of unfinished, leading to an outcry from the fans and a rare black eye for the franchise.
Maybe that's why the new update has 90 plus pages of patch notes.
Ooh, wow.
Added content, added everything that you want. Please love me.
Bug
Please give me a hug.
Bug fixes, bug fixes, bug fixes.
Yeah.
We swear it works now.
Minor text fixes. And speaking of, this one's gotta take the cake, right? No Man's Sky. There was so much hype surrounding this game, with its developer Sean Murray promising a nearly infinite procedurally generated universe that we'd all explore together and participate in giant space battles while mining resources to upgrade our ships in search of the center of the universe. It sounded like the be-all, end-all, limitless universe that gamers could make their own. Instead, what we got felt like an alpha demo of an early access game.
There was also all that weird beating around the bush about multiplayer interaction.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we don't think it'll happen soon. And then 2 people are like, yeah, we're standing in the same place at the same time. It's like, huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's strange to me that it's been this hotly debated thing among the No Man's Sky community that, like, you know, they never promised multiplayer. When in multiple occasions he said things like, the only way to know what you look like is going to be to find another player.
And see from their perspective.
And yeah, it's going to be very rare to find other people because the universe is so bigly.
Maybe they were hoping nobody would find each other, so nobody would be able to figure it out early on.
And then the
And
very
have time to
first
patch
day.
it in.
Right.
And then, yeah, when those players found each other, he was just like, wow, so surprised, this was crazy, and then went silent. Forever.
The version of No Man's Sky that released felt empty, featureless, and worst of all, just pretty boring. It was fun to wander around weird colored planets for a while, but there was just no depth to the game, no space battles, no storyline, and no fun.
And no other people.
Game sold a ton of copies because of all its hype, but within a few weeks the developer had gone radio silent and the player base had moved on. Sales aside, when you consider the amount of hype versus what was ultimately delivered, this was the biggest flop of 2016. I had fun in No Man's Sky. But I will say,
Have you tried the new part?
I haven't played the new stuff. I don't think, even at launch, I don't think it was a $60 game. If I had paid like 20 or 30 bucks, I would have been
20.
much happier.
That's fair.
It was an okay game. I felt okay. It wasn't great. But it definitely
The
had
new
flaws.
survival stuff is mean.
If we had been sold an early access game, that would be different.
Yeah.
But we were sold a AAA, super awesome, crazy, ambitious game, and what we got was an early access game
Yes.
without the label. And I think that when you look at what was sold versus what was delivered, that's where it's a flop.
Absolutely.
You know, there's an experience in there. And when you talk about that new update stuff, actually, Bernie's 11-year-old Teddy, he's back into it. He's playing creative mode and he's warping his freighter all over the place, and just like he is actually legit enjoying it. So it's not to say that the game can't become something, but it's not what.
It's not what we were sold.
Yeah, it's
It's
not
so
what
The
we're-
hype train needs to be a hype
Yeah.
minecart.
Yeah. It suffered so heavily from being caught in the middle of that whole, like, this is gonna be, we need a big major something to talk about at these events, and it was not ready for that stage.
And you know, to some degree, I think that, you know, we as the overall larger gaming community are part of that hype machine. People get really into it and then get really upset if anyone suggests it could possibly be less than perfect. I got harassed constantly after we did a news story asking if it'd be like the biggest thing ever, and saying like, no, sorry, it will probably be pretty cool, but it won't be the biggest thing ever. So many people were like, you don't even understand. You don't get it.
We don't get it.
And then we got this.
It's on
And
you.
we didn't get it.
So if we have to give a gold star for you know, this is our Scrooge award. I guess this is our Scroogiest video for sure of 2016. It's gonna go to No Man's Sky.
Remember, kids, always under promise and over deliver.
Yes. Or patch the hell out of it.
Be honest. Well, that about does it for, I think, our Scroogiest flops of 2016. But we've got more videos coming all throughout the holiday break. All kinds of looks back at the year that's been, the year that's coming. And if you want to catch those, make sure that you like this video and subscribe to the Know and make it all